Good morning traders and welcome to today's live trading. Today is the 6th of December and as usual we are on the FTSE 100. So let me quickly run you through today's analysis. As you can see here on the chart, we're currently sitting around the 6880 level. I have a band a little bit above here around the 6915 level and one just below at the moment around the 6850 level. This has got today's S2 in there. We're currently just sitting on today's S1. Interesting to show is if you don't follow the FTSE, it did sell off a little bit yesterday and then sort of continued to do so throughout the day, and then overnight we've had a pretty big sell off and we're still sitting down really at these lows. So a couple of targets above for price today, but obviously we've got to take into account that sort of bearish momentum that we're seeing. Prices coming down quite nicely, especially when looking at the higher time frames, just on the hourly and the 4 hourly. We're looking quite bearish at the moment. That said, if we were able to get above this band here, this one around 6915, just break above and give me a buy signal up to this band, I'd be quite happy to do that. Equally, if we come back down to this band and look like we're finding the same support that we've seen this morning, then I would quite like to buy from there as well. I think failing that, price would have to break down obviously below this band here and set up for a sell signal for me to look to get short. There is the possibility of shorting from up here. The only reason I would be somewhat dubious is just because these two levels here, the red line and the orange line, do tend to get tagged when price gets close to them. So if price was to come up, get close to both of them and look to sell away, I'd just be a little bit dubious that price is actually going to come and tag those levels first before any sell-off. So I would be a little bit apprehensive about any sell position that I take. That said, if the price action is right, then I would be interested in that, and if it is right, I'll talk you through that at the time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There's no immediate setups on my radar, obviously because price is sat bang in the middle between two bands that I'm looking at, so there is going to be somewhat of a wait before I get a trade this morning. So I'll grab a drink, get ready for the open, and I'll update you once we are in a little bit more of an interesting position. Okay, so we've come down quite a lot now, but I'm actually going to put a buy order above this candle here, so it's in at 805, and submit that. So the order's in there. So if it does start coming up, we'll get triggered into a long position, and basically obviously just looking for a move back towards this band up here. Probably won't be looking for quite as much as that, but there's plenty on the table there. If I show you the higher time frames that I usually look at, here's the hourly. You can see we've had quite a sell-off. This band is a good one. It also tallies up almost with the round number at 6800, which is sort of the area that we're testing at the minute, the bottom of the band. Obviously the 4 hour just condenses what you've seen there, but it's been some sell-off, and I just think at this point, although it's unlikely we're going to see a huge reversal, what we might see is just some profit taking, and if that is the case, then I'll gladly just take that little bit as the sellers take their profit. I will gladly just ride that little bit. I'm not looking for, you know, a huge move, but it's a decent band, and the signal's good enough. But obviously we're still moving down as it stands, so if this candle finishes below the low of this candle, which is looking like it's probably going to, then I will just be cancelling this order, unfortunately, and I'll go back to watching. I'm actually looking like I'm going to have to draw in the next band down here at today's S3, and maybe we look to take a trade from this level down here. But the order's in. I will leave the recording running and we'll see if we get triggered. And like I say, if not, if it finishes below, then I'll just cancel the order. Okay, so you won't be surprised, this has come way lower than I wanted it to come before triggering the trade. If it's going to start coming up now, then I would be apprehensive that it's just a retest of this band from the underneath, with a view to going further south. And obviously in that scenario I would not want to get caught in a long trade, so that trade's been cancelled. So like I said, I'll go back to watching. I'm going to draw this box in down here, and maybe we get a trade from down here. I mean, it's been one hell of a sell-off so far, and I think there's been a few days on the channel that look like this, and I've said it before and I'll probably say it again, but these days are sometimes the most frustrating days, because you watch tons of price movement and it's just nothing you can get involved with, because it's just all one way. It doesn't stop to give a trader like me entries. I'm sure there are traders with systems that enable them to take advantage of days like these, but maybe they don't take advantage as much on the up and down days as, say, a trader like me does. So, you know, the swings and roundabouts to different systems. This type of price movement doesn't really particularly suit my system that well, and I just have to take that on the chin, acknowledge it, and definitely be conscious of it when I'm trading, because I don't want to start jumping into trades just because there's the movement there and there's not the setups that fit my system. You know, start grabbing at anything that fits, thinking, well, that'll do. You know, I've heard somebody say that, you know, if it breaks the low of a particular type of candle, then I can just start shorting it. Well, and I know traders that do that, then you know, you're destined to lose some money. So yeah, it's just about being patient, really. I would imagine we'll get a trading opportunity at some point this morning. There is some news at 10, I think, which could line up with this band quite nicely. But we'll just have to see. So like I say, I'll go back to watching and hopefully speak to you later on. Okay, I'm just going to put a long signal in above this 1030 candle. The high is 45.3, so I want to be in at 46.5. Submit that. So that order's in there, 46.5. Just double check that that's right. Yeah, the high is 45. Yeah, so order's correct. Order's in above this. Likely get triggered if it pops up again. Get rid of that. But yes, we've had one hell of a sell-off so far today. That's the order triggered. We have somewhat tested this ATMA, and of a fashion double bottomed into this band. Now the reason for the haste in getting into this trade is we've had such a sell-off, and as I said before, I'm not confident of like a big reversal or anything like that. So any upward movement we get, any sort of correction we get, might not be particularly long lasting. That said, I don't want to rush into a long position just for the sake of taking a long position just because the market's coming down. That doesn't make any sense either. But this is the first time that we've had a sort of double bottom type pattern movement there, and then this is genuinely a decent pin bar. That added with a sort of marginal test of the ATMA makes it worthwhile giving a go. Now the risk on this trade is, let me move this over, the risk on this trade is, so it's 9.3 on the signal candle, so we're looking at about 11 points. Up towards the next band is 26, so there's plenty of room up there to make sure that we take enough profit from this trade. I think ideally what I would be looking for is somewhere around the 65 mark, around that blue line, as potential profit on this trade, which would give us going up for sort of 18-ish points for 11 risk, which is pretty good. Again, the reason for that is I don't want to try and test this too much, and basically try and push the trade too much is effectively what I'm thinking. you know, if we do get this sort of mini correction, maybe a little bit of profit taking, you know, as we come into mid morning, then if we can take advantage of that, get out the market, you know, finish up for the day, then great. So yeah, that's basically the plan. I'll bring the ticket back across so you can see how it unfolds, and as usual, the stop will go just below the low of this candle, and yeah, let's see how it goes. Okay, so I've closed it there for 15.5 points. It was just struggling up at this level up here. Obviously, price is going to come and tag the take profit level now. I've come out, but just watching it, yeah, there you are. It's getting there. Just watching it, it was starting to struggle, and we'd been up there 2 or 3 times already. And if you watch the live price action, every time it comes up, it's straight back down, and that's what I'm talking about with the bearish momentum. And you've got to be, you know, clever about it. I'm not going to try and stand in the way of a market that's fallen off a cliff for too long, because I'm going to get chewed up. And I thought that's probably what would have happened after this initial move up, and we came straight back down. And then we put in this another bullish candle, and again that came straight back down. I thought we've probably missed the boat here. I was probably being maybe slightly too ambitious with the level that I wanted to target. The trouble is with trades like this, for me, the target really is this pin over here. That's where I would expect price to get to if it's going to come up. Now, to play it safe, price might not make it that high, so I've come down a bit to the 65 level. That was my rationale behind that take profit level. So for it to be struggling underneath, and this is when like the market plays games with you, because you've set a level that's already a good number of points below the level you think price is going to get to, and then price is sort of hanging around just underneath, you know, the level you've actually set. So now you start thinking, well, why don't I just come out here? When really, the level that we hung on for there, I mean, it's just hit it now. That's you've picked that level because of, you know, what am I trying to say here? You've picked that level because you want to play it safe from where you think price will actually get to. If you just start coming out, for example, as price started coming up here, and I think it got to about 16 points, maybe a high 16 points, and then it starts coming down, you think, oh, well, I should have just took 16 points. You will have never known that 16 points was all you were going to get there. The analysis that you did, or that I did, said, I think price will likely come and tag this sort of level because of the pin. You know, there's no indication on this previous price action that anything would stand in its way there. To play safe, I'll bring it a little bit lower, hence the 65 level. Now, things change. You have to adapt to the price action. We've had a reaction here. We didn't quite get as high last time, and we had a reaction. And then this time, we got up to that level, and we were struggling. Now, I know that on this occasion, price has moved higher, and it has actually tagged the level that I was looking at initially. But you've got to adapt to the price action. There was a potential for a third failure at that level. And if price had sold off and eventually coming down to my stop loss, I would have looked back on that price action and gone, why on earth didn't I take feedback from what price was telling me, in that it was struggling up at that level? I should have taken the profit as it was hitting that level. The risk to reward was plenty good enough. I think we got 15.5, 16 points for 11 points risk, well over 1-to-1. What would have been stopping me coming out of that trade? Nothing. And you would have kicked yourself. Now granted, if price had got up to say 8 points, and it was struggling at that level, so you're not even at 1-to-1 risk, and really you need price to come up to, you know, the higher level for risk to reward purposes, then maybe that's not the best idea. You don't want to be cutting your profits short when, you know, most of the time they will probably come up and hit that level, or, you know, 50% of the time, whatever it is. So in situations like that, you have to, again, adapt. You have to think, well, rather than taking a reduced profit, which isn't even as much as I risked on this trade, maybe I just bring my stop to break even, or maybe I can bring my stop to another level that makes sense, you know, underneath another swing that price has made maybe. So in this particular scenario, the stop was down here. instead, if we were only 8 points up, say, maybe we could bring the stop up to here. Now that doesn't eradicate my risk, but it does significantly reduce it. Say I've gone from an 11-point stop to like a 4-point stop, then perfect. You've taken some measures because of what price action is telling you. Now granted, some people don't like to do that. They like to just set and forget. Enter the trade, set the levels, forget, come back, see what's happened. And I get that. And I'm actually quite an advocate of that. I like that idea. I like that, principle really. But in certain situations, and this was one of them, particularly because of how quickly price had come down today, where you've just got to be a bit more intelligent about it. You've just got to be a bit more cautious, really. So that was the reasoning behind, excuse me, what I did. And yeah, sod's law, we could have held on for, I think, maybe 18 points, I think we said. So we left with 2 points less than we would have done. I'm fine with that, given how the price moved. I'd happily take 16 over 18 points and not have that worrying price action where price was really struggling to move up, try and sit through that. So there we are. Anyway, I'll stop rambling now. Just coming up to 11:30, and that was a pretty good trade, just shy of 16 points, but I think it was about 15.5. So yeah, good trade, good analysis, and well executed. So as always, I hope you managed to take something away from it. I hope it was valuable. Maybe there's lessons to be taken from it. I say this all the time. I'm by no way an expert. I just do this a lot, and I think the lessons that I've learned, if I can impart them onto other traders that are watching, or if other traders can pick up bits and pieces from watching me trade, live on any particular day, then fantastic. That's what it's all about. And if you guys have any questions, any tips for me, any video topics that you would like me to cover, by all means put them down in the comments below. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next week.